So in this video I have a customer switch here, and the issue is that it works fine, charges fine, even in the dock it charges fine, but it doesn't display to the TV. The customer has said they've tried different docks, tried different HDMI cables. I've tested it myself and I do find the issue that the dock, the green light will come on the official Nintendo dock, and but it doesn't display to the TV. So the screen goes off on this, but it doesn't come on the TV. So the two issues that usually is a problem with the USB-C port, or it's a problem with the video out chip on this, and I had a wee inspection of this port and it looks fine. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to open this console, I'm going to strip it down, get to the motherboard and check that video out chip, P13 USB, something like that, to see if it's shorted out in any way. So this will be a wee video just showing you what exactly to check. So I've taken apart switches before on my channel, so I'm not going to go very in depth with this, so I might just skip through actually taking this apart, and I'm just going to jump to the motherboard out. Okay, so I have the back cover and the back shield off now, so obviously disconnect the battery, and where we go from here is we take everything out. This is just a wee brief overview just in case this is your first time dealing with this, but you have to take out the heatsink, the fan, the game card reader, disconnect everything, unscrew the motherboard, and then take it out from the housing, and then we can work from there. So I'm just going to skip to that there now as well. Okay, now with that all done, I can get a better look at this USB-C port, and I actually see there is a little pin bent away to the side in there. Now, I'm trying to think of the best way to show you. Let me try and get the microscope. See if... Now, it might be hard to see, but do you see there at the left? I'll try and circle it in the video. I'm sorry for my shaky hands. There's a little gold pin, you can see the light reflecting off it. It doesn't look to be in uniform with the rest of them. That's actually bent off to the side. That should be straight with the rest of them. Now I'm guessing that's our problem. I will show you how to check the video chip anyway. It could also be a problem that could have shorted it out. But well, if it's shorted out, usually that causes no power as well. But I will show you how to check that now as well. So that's the front of the motherboard we saw sitting in the housing. This is the back of it here. So this chip here, this is the chip that we want to diagnose, see is there a problem. It's a video out chip. Now, let me just try and get a bit closer here actually. Now hopefully you can still see that and make out what I'm doing without it being too blurry. Let me just adjust the light here. So what we want to do is we want to check for shorts in those capacitors around that chip. So I have my two probes here, red and black. So I'm going to touch a ground point here. I'm going to use the USB port here, so I'm holding my black probe on the USB port. Now I'm just testing both sides of the capacitors around this. This should be beeping on one side and not beeping on the other side, because capacitors are grounded on one side only. If it's grounded on both sides, then there's an issue. So hopefully you can pick up the beeping as well. So nothing that side, beeping there, if you can hear that. Now you can do it with the little capacitor too, beeping there, nothing on that side. Try these two. Beeping and nothing. Again, beeping, nothing. So those capacitors are fine. Now below it here we have these filters. These 1, 2, 3, 4 larger ones and one smaller one. Now these are basically basically a pair of filters. You'll see that you'll see 4 corners on it there, wee silver corners. The way they're joined is this corner is joined to this one, and this one's joined to this one. They should have continuity from top to bottom, but they should not have continuity from left to right. If there's continuity left to right, that's an issue as well. So the way you test those is you test the bottom corner and the top corner and get it beeping. Now keep your probe on one of the corners and swap to the other corner. There's no beeping, so that's good. Now move over to this other corner and see if you get beeping again. Hold on, let me just readjust now. Yeah, we're getting beeping, and again no beeping from corner to from left corner to right corner. So you just do that with all of them. Check for continuity top and bottom, and make sure there's no continuity left and right, because these filters can fail as well. and when they fail, they stop the signal from going through. The signal's blocked here, and then you won't get a video out. But these filters look good. Now that actually looks like I'm getting continuity from left to right there. Hold on. I'm going to try that one more time, because maybe my hands were just shaking. Let me get back into view here. Go check top and bottom, yeah. Yeah. So I'm getting nothing. I'm getting nothing top and bottom here. I'm getting it on the left side though, and then it crosses over there, which it shouldn't. So it seems like that filter is a problem. So for me to make an educated guess, I would say that the pin that's bent in this port has somehow fried that wee filter there, the very small one on the very left. So this will have to be replaced as well as the port. Now obviously we'll do the port first, because if the port's working good, you can still test it even if this isn't working. So we can put the port on first, give that a test, and then sort out this filter. So I'm going to zoom out here now and get on with that. Okay, so I have the camera moved out a bit because I will be hanging this motherboard over the side of the table, over the side of the desk, to remove it with the hot air gun. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my soldering iron and everything prepped here, and I'm going to prep a new USB port so I can just drop it in when I get the old one off. I always like to have the new USB port prepped and ready to go, because once you remove the old one, the heat's still on the board. You know, instead of letting the board cool down and then get the USB port prepped, you may as well work at it when it's still hot. So I'm getting my soldering iron up to temperature here. Got our new USB port. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tin these. You'll see the 2 rows of pins there. I'm going to tin them first, so that whenever I drop it onto the board, all the pins will grab onto the pads on the board. So let me get my flux here. Now I'm not going to zoom in for this, I'm just tinning the pads here. This isn't really going in depth with changing the USB port. It's not that kind of how-to video. It was mostly just how to diagnose a video problem. So just giving it a quick run over, and you'll see they've changed from gold color to, hopefully you can see it, from a silver color. So that means they're tinned. Alright. So I'm going to heat up get my hot air gun ready now as well. So I use the weight of this mat. I push this here under the mat and that holds it down to stop it falling over. But I hang the port over the end here so I can heat from the bottom. You don't want to heat from the top because it'll start melting the plastic and everything, and then you'll get burnt parts here, and you know, there's no need for it. Now you shouldn't need to pull this off at all. I've seen too many people who got pads, even switches coming to me from a different repair shop or from a previous repair shop. The pads are ripped. You don't need to pull it off. When it's ready to come off, it'll just lift off like that. If you turn that board upside down, it should fall off. That's how loose it should be. So that's our old port there. And the inside is disintegrated with the heat. Now I'm going to add some leaded solder to all these pads and all these anchor points here. So we add some flux. Well, if the flux will come off the syringe. Hold on, I need to just heat that up. There we go. Just adding leaded solder to everything. Now, I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to hang that off the edge. I'm going to heat from the bottom. What I do before I drop the port in is I melt all the solder here, the new stuff and the old stuff, and I just put my tweezers through the anchor points here just to make sure they're all mixed up, because sometimes the new leaded solder can sit on top and doesn't mix properly, and then when you try to drop the USB port in, it's hitting the old solder that hasn't melted properly. So I just put the tweezers through and make sure it's fully melted, which it is. There you go. So now that's all done, time to drop the port in. So new port in, kind of move it around a bit, make sure you grab the solder, hold it in place for a few seconds with the heat, and remove the heat. Just to make sure all the solder is liquefied on the inside hidden row of pins that you can't see. There we go. Now hopefully we've done that right. All the pins on the outside will be gripped onto and we won't need to go over them. So I'm just going to readjust this camera again. So I'm just going to check these pins here now. Make sure they're all solid and there's none we have to go over. Yeah, they're all solid. So the only solder we have to go over is the anchor points here. So I'm just going to add some more flux to those. Sorry for that shaky camera. It's just on an arm that keeps moving. So it's going to go in with some more thin leaded solder. Just make sure it's grabbing the port properly. Just because these ports get a lot of abuse by kids and, well, adults too actually. So you want to make sure it's solid. A little bit awkward to do this here and to have the phone in the right place at the same time. The phone as in the camera, which I'm using as a phone. Or as a fucking... the camera I'm using as a phone. The phone I'm using as a camera, I mean. And we do the other side as well. Right, there we go. So I need to clean all that up now, and then we can move on to the next step. Okay, so the next thing we need to do now is replace this filter. It's this one here. I'd rather point at it here. Now I have tested this already just because I know people are going to ask, can it work with just the USB port sorted? But no, it can't. This filter needs to be changed too. It's still doing the same thing. It's not giving any video output. So this filter needs to be swapped out for a working one. And I'll just show you again, because maybe in case it wasn't very clear the last time, in the last we zoomed in shot. Now these ones, if I can get this to stop shaking. Now these filters, the way they're meant to work is you get continuity top and bottom, but not left and right. Top and bottom, but not left and right, not diagonal, because these are basically two different filters in one package. But this smaller one here, we get continuity up and down there, and left and right here, but then over here we're getting nothing. So this one's going from bottom left to top top right. The bottom right's completely isolated, instead of being bottom left to top left and bottom right to top right. So we need to get a donor off another board here. So I happen to have one here somewhere. As you can see, I've already taken the video out chip from that. So this is the donor board. Now let me just test again. Is this one working fine? Yeah, that one's working good. So we'll remove that. Let me get some shielding under this to protect the base from heat damage. There we go. So that's that. Now go back to our other board here. Remove the faulty one. Trying to also direct heat away from the USB port, especially now that it's got leaded solder on it. It'll be easier to melt, so we don't want to undo any work there. There we go. That's the old one off. Get the new one into position. Oh. Turn the airflow down as low as it can go. actually. I'm just going to quickly go over that wee part there. I should have done that actually, just to add some leaded solder to that, just to help us melt a bit quicker. Because I'm just worried that that heat will do some damage to the USB port or undo some of the work we've done. So I'll throw a bit of flux on that. And then just go in with a bit of leaded solder. And then we'll go back into the heat. There we go. It looks to be in place nicely there now. Let me just give that a wee nudge to see. Yeah. I'm just going to gently cool that down with my air gun from a wee bit distance here. Listen, I'm not going to do it so fast that it goes into thermal shock, but just to help cool it down a bit. And then I'll clean that with some isopropyl alcohol and a cotton bud. Okay, so I'm going to test that filter now and make sure it's still okay and we don't have any other board issues. So test top and bottom, and it's not crossing over this time, and it's testing fine top and bottom there. Hold on. Oh yeah, no, it's not crossing over. That's okay. That seems to be fine there now. So I'm going to put this all back together and then I'm going to test it and make sure it's working. So I'm just going to start putting everything back together because I'm pretty confident now that'll be everything sorted, and then we can test it properly and make sure it's outputting to HDMI. Okay, so I've just tested it on the dock there and it's working 100% fine there now. I don't have the dock set up here, so I can't video it with this current setup, but I have tested everything and it's working 100%. There's no other problems with the switch. So the problem was the USB port, a pin bent out, and that's fried a filter on the video out chip. So the signal wasn't getting from the video out chip to the port. One, because the port was damaged, it wasn't going to reach the cable, but whenever that was fixed, it still wasn't getting past that faulty filter. So hopefully someone has learned something from that. It started off as a video to diagnose a video out and turned sort of into a charging port repair video as well. But just interested to know more ways to diagnose problems. Especially people ask what could it be that causes a video out chip or a video out problem. This just shows you it could be a number of things because the video out signal travels through the port. It can be affected by the power management chip. Even if there's a short there, it can short out the video out chip and vice versa. So yeah, I'm going to end the video there now. As I say, hopefully someone learned something from that. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. And thank you for watching.